Alright, Cody, let's have an uncomfortable conversation. Someone has been alleging for years now that you, one of the largest commentary creators on YouTube, knowingly committed a crime against her when she was a minor. But YouTubers and viewers alike are ignoring and discrediting these allegations solely because the person making them happens to be an unlikable woman online.
I wouldn't say Tana's unlikable, would you guys? I think so many people like Tana. I actually... yeah, you guys think she's unlikable? I don't know. I think there's more unlikable people.
This because nobody is working harder to bury.
I guess for me, when I see someone has like such a strong core fan base, I wouldn't use unlikable as the first term. I would maybe instead use a term like polarizing. I can see her being polarizing. I would probably label myself a little bit polarizing, you know what I mean? But for me, unlikable is like Pearl, if you know who Pearl is.
Bury the story, then you. And you're getting away with it because commentary YouTube has a serious problem. I can't blame any of your viewers or my viewers for not hearing about this because you've done such a good job hiding it up until now that I only found out about it recently. The situation has been talked about by smaller channels, it's been discussed at length on other platforms, and it keeps almost hitting the mainstream, like with this Rolling Stone article or this H3 podcast discussion. But the reason it hasn't caught on yet, despite all of this, is that none of your friends, nobody on your level, nobody in the commentary niche with enough pull is willing to admit that this situation makes you look terrible.
As well. A lot of people like him a lot, and they really are like doing any kind of mental gymnastic to just ignore it.
I'm not here to accuse you of committing a crime in this video because I can't do that based on someone else's allegations. Nobody can definitively take these allegations as proof, but at the same time, they should still be looked at and not treated as an open secret and swept under the rug like you've been doing for so many years now. And from the way the situation keeps popping up more and more often, it's clear that there's only so much rug sweeping you can do before people start taking a closer look.
This YouTuber seems like a really nice guy.
So
he is, and he's so well spoken.
We both know that Tana Mojo is a YouTube personality with a history of lies, controversy, and
Has Tana lied about stuff? Listen, oh my god, I'm such a simp. Anyways, I know there are some things she's done a lot. Oh my god, I didn't know. Like what? Wait, drama. I did not know. I knew about the TanaCon stuff. What else? What has she lied about? A lot more. Like what? Poki, they botted the charity, no paid collab. What does that mean? Jake Paul fake couple. Bleach and Tone. Bleach and Tone is probably one of the best things she's ever done, to be honest.
So entangled with her brand that her podcast is called Cancelled with Tana Mojo. And speaking of this podcast, about a month ago, she hosted a live episode in front of an audience, and the conversation turned to you.
Who's the smallest you've ever had sex with?
Oh my god, did no one look at me, Cody Co. I can say that. I was literally 17, I can say that.
This clip started making the rounds and people were understandably perturbed because if Tana Mojo was 17, you would have been 25. So people started speculating and Tana decided to set the record straight.
I hooked up with Cody Co when I was 17 and he was 25.
She claims that not only were you fully aware of her age at the time, but someone even tried to stop you and you went ahead anyway.
There was a situation with Gabby Hanna at a Playlist Live where she pulled him aside and told him like, yo, she's 17, and then we still went and hooked up.
To be clear, 17 is under the age of consent in many states, including Florida, where Playlist Live used to take place. So this means that Tana Mojo is accusing you of statutory rape, and she's not trying to hide that.
This isn't just some crazy tea. It was a crime.
Nothing would make this situation better, but plenty of things make it worse, like the fact that she was a fan of your...
Regardless of what Tana's done in the past, I think where she's at in her career now, she wouldn't say something like that if it weren't true, in my opinion, especially if it's against like such a large creator, and especially because like frankly she doesn't really need the clout. Like she's clouted as fuck. That's just my impression. Obviously I can't say for sure. I wasn't there, none of us can say for sure, but
at the time, adding an additional layer to the power dynamic you would have had over her.
I grew up loving him, and
which is also a comment that I saw a lot that kind of made a lot of sense to me, where it's like, you know, the age gap is one thing, but also when she was 17, she was like a big fan of his. So not only was she technically underage, but she was also a fan. Oh, she literally said that. I grew up loving him, and I think, you know what I mean? I was just excited and a fan.
I think you know what I mean? Like, I was just like excited and a fan.
Tana seems to have many feelings about this, which we'll go over a bit later.
Also, if you guys didn't know, I feel like this came out like a month ago. And, you know, we'll discuss that later.
But she stated very clearly that the actions she's accusing you of are inexcusable.
If I had a 17-year-old daughter or a little sister or something, like, I would kill. I would never let it fly.
These recent allegations are bad enough on their own, but there are a couple of things that make them worse still. Things that many people don't know yet, but you do. You know that Tana has been making this same specific claim against you for years now. Here she is back in 2021 saying the same thing.
I was 17 at the time, 18. I started kind of hooking up with other people. Shout out JC Kalen, shout out Cody Co.
But what lends the most credibility to Tana's claims, and what is really the most damning thing for you, Cody, is a clip that you might not have even seen yet. See, I read the Rolling Stone article, I
He's
watched
so good
the
at
YouTube
building
videos
tension.
about this, and they all missed something. And I understand why. The clip I'm about to show you is extremely hard to find. The original has been lost to time, and it's a wonder we have this on video at all. But if there was anything to give me any more clarity about these allegations before I formed my opinion, I was going to find it. Remember how Tana said that fellow YouTuber
he does have like
Gabby
an
Hanna
audio
tried to
book
stop
voice.
you before everything allegedly went down?
Yeah.
Well, did you
Gabby
know that
Hanna.
Gabby is actually on record telling the exact same story several years ago?
Oh, he said witness.
I told a guy, I saw him making out with a girl at a party who was underage. And I pulled him aside and I was like, hey man, you probably don't know. I know she like looks a little older. She's underage. Watch it. And he's like, oh my God, thank you for telling me. And then he turned that.
This is really, really bad. People make accusations all the time, specifically regarding
Sorry,
things
it's like the yelling. And then he... that... Oh, man.
they're very difficult to prove or disprove, unfortunate as that may be. But when somebody makes an allegation
And there's even
and
a
they say
witness
they have a witness,
who's another
and that
huge
witness can be
creator.
found telling the exact same story
Yeah.
years before any of this came out, that's not something I can just ignore. In a situation that cannot be proven, corroboration by a third party goes a long way. And frankly, Cody, the allegations against you seem to have been corroborated. But instead of researching to find these answers like I did, many of your fans seem far more interested in attacking your accuser.
I have seen so many comments, but what was she wearing? It's Tana, so who cares? Well, it's Tana Mojo.
The reaction to this has been unsurprising but incredibly disappointing.
Disappointing, yeah, I
Demanding
agree.
proof that they know she can't provide, acting like she's only doing this to gain clout or ruin you somehow, despite the fact that she's never once put your name in a video title over this. Or worst of all, implying that a 17-year-old could have truly consented.
She wasn't no victim. She was 17 and obskins. Of course she would sleep with him. She's also 17, which is old enough. Yikes. Bro, when I think back to myself at 17, like just such an easily influenced, easily manipulated, small town girl, you know? I really wonder, and honestly, hold on, I want to show you guys. This is just a random soccer player, I think. This is some random cat. I feel like these people making these comments are also really young. But when you're much older, especially when you're like mid to late 20s, you realize how truly young 17 is and how young of a mind a 17-year-old has. And therefore, the onus is on you to be considerate of that.
To any of this.
I swear, like, and it's sad that it's young people who are like, oh no, I'm mature. Girl, just wait. Girl, just wait.
But let's be clear about one thing.
Tony, thank you for
That is
subbing.
not
Pray,
the
thanks for the
case.
86
No
months.
amount of retroactive age calculations or what-if scenarios change the fact that what Tana described would be, objectively speaking, a crime. A crime which you've said absolutely nothing about.
Nothing about,
and
yeah,
even if
which
this
is
wasn't
what's
illegal,
kinda
you
surprising,
remember
but also
being
not.
25. You would have known then, as I currently know at age 25, that nobody this age should need an explanation for why a 17-year-old is off limits. Because you remember being 17 too. Now, thankfully, Tana's personal experience with this isn't one of trauma. In fact, I've seen people defending you by saying, Tana said she doesn't care, so why should any of us care?
Oh, I think
but
she
that's
cares
not exactly
now.
what she was saying.
I don't associate or hold it with trauma because I am such a comparative person where I'm like, so many worse things have happened to me.
And even if something isn't consciously internalized as an identifiable source of trauma, the body keeps the score.
I know things manifest in ways other than me directly feeling them. Like maybe I don't feel traumatized in certain aspects from certain things, and other things I do. But, you know, maybe they just manifest in ways other than directly feeling.
The answer to why
I do feel like, wait, how old is Tana? Tana. Okay, she's 26 now, and I think he was 25 at the time. So I feel like now that she is the age that he was, she probably looks at 17-year-olds and is like, I would fucking never. Oh. Sorry, I'm not pointing at the age. It's just people also searched for. Anyways, I think that's probably what made her, look back on it and be like, oh, that maybe wasn't a good thing.
why any of us should care is that a person has tried to come forward about her experience.
Like at the end of the day,
and
a crime is a
has been met
crime,
with the most
if that's what
vitriolic
occurred.
victim blaming I've seen in years. She's been dismissed, discredited, and disbelieved before anybody ever gave her a chance. Because it's Tana, which sets a horrible precedent that if a person runs out of goodwill, they lose the right to come forward with their experiences.
The most traumatizing thing of all of this really was seeing how many people like don't believe people or don't believe me. I feel so bad for all of these young girls because then they see that and then it makes them not want to come forward.
And you, Cody, are part of the reason she's been met with this reaction. Your status as one of
hasn't said
YouTube's golden
anything.
boys has made it possible for you to ignore a situation that almost anyone else would have
Wait,
had
what
to
is the
respond
age of
to by
consent in
now.
America?
know
I
for
think
a
in
fact
most
if
states it's
you
18.
swapped out Cody Co with someone that like people didn't like that much, I would be receiving so much more sympathy.
I find your silence on the situation to be uncomfortable because I know that if Tana's
Yeah, I guess in
allegations
some
are
places
true,
it might be
then
16
silence
and some
would be your only
18.
option.
But the state that they were in at the time, it was 18.
Since telling the truth would be tantamount to confessing to a crime, and lying would put you at risk of being contradicted by a witness. And like I told you at the beginning, I'm not accusing you of committing a crime. But even if what Tana says is false, your silence is still grossly incompetent at best. Why are you choosing the path that would be your only option if you were guilty? Now, some seem to think that you're not obligated to speak up, and maybe that's what people around you are telling you as well. But from one creator to another, you absolutely have an obligation to, at the very least, call out the misogyny, the victim blaming, and all manner of cognitive dissonance that's coming from your audience in the name of defending.
Do you guys think if he does come out and he says something along the lines of, yes, this happened, I'm really sorry, it was a mistake on my part, please believe her, don't do this to other victims, like, you know, something pretty well-rounded, do you think people would forgive him? Or do you think that would be his career? You're writing his apology video for him? No wrongdoing was acknowledged. Okay. Dr. Disrespect I actually think is Jover. Cody Co, I think still has so much, I guess, goodwill. I think there's still so many people who want to be on his side that I could see people being like going past it, especially because Tana herself isn't even calling for him to be canceled. She's just saying like, hey, this happened. You're still here after so many things that should have ended your career. Fair, but I've also never admitted committing to a crime or committed a crime or committed a crime. She said she dissociated. Yeah. I know. admitted. I mean, no, I'm really trying to think of what. I mean, I've jaywalked. That's a crime for sure. I think you will grow an audience back. Like, yeah, I agree. I think especially on YouTube, you can always maintain an audience. And I think a lot of the people who would listen to or watch his apology are not even his audience. So I think technically he could keep making content. It's just like, will other people be okay with it? Will people still be open to collabing with him? Will he still feel comfortable making content? You kind of get what I mean? Yeah. He's not sorry though. How long were they a couple or whatever? They just hooked up. But they weren't a couple.
You against allegations that you're too cowardly to address. And to be clear, this is cowardice because you
I will say though, like he has such a like good or strong brand that I think it's really hard to accept something like this and admit something like this and then keep making content from his perspective. Like, I think it would hurt his pride and ego a lot. I already know, like, I already know when this first came out, he like waited a little bit to upload again and like heavily moderated the comments. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. He also has like a wife and kids now, and I'm so curious how his wife must feel. I know she has a podcast. I'm sure people are hella messaging her about it. There is one other point that I don't know if D'Angelo is going to go over. And if he doesn't, then I'll try to mention it at the end.
Whenever there's controversy afoot. Tana's further claims make it sound like you're terrified.
I said something about it online and it was starting to surface, and he texted me like, are we good? And was like, and like
they're commenting all over her videos.
Said, yeah. And like he was like,
what do you guys think about that? Because I will say, I think her name is Kelsey. I hope people aren't harassing her too much. Like, I don't even, who knows how much she knew about it, you know? I mean, she must know now, but yeah.
My wedding's coming up.
You do have a history of making bad choices when you're terrified of people finding things out. Like your history of using slurs.
5 nigga, 6 nigga, 7 nigga, 8 nigga, 9 nigga.
There's more clips than that, but the reason most people are blissfully unaware of them is because you posted your vague apology not on Twitter, not on YouTube, but on Patreon, despite acknowledging in your apology that the clips were surfacing on Twitter. This is one of many examples of your poor handling of controversy.
Was that?
Not many people know that you've already lost fans over an eerily
I've never
similar
seen
topic.
a Patreon apology before, I'll say that
feature
much.
and promote your college friend Colby Leachman in your videos
Okay.
until it came out that during your school
This is what a lot of people were talking about.
to frequently feature and promote your college friend Colby Leachman in your videos until it came out that during your school days, Leachman's university put him on probation for, as a United States District Judge would later put it, the non-consensual videotaping of a sex act with another student, showing the video to other people, lying to the police about the video, and behaving horribly to that individual and at least one other woman. To make matters worse, the woman in the video...
I actually did not know those details. The way that people framed this was like, oh, he's friends with someone he is still friends with someone who sexually assaulted someone else. I didn't even know the details like that. And I didn't even know that the police had record of it, as opposed to like, he said, she said, you know.
Also alleged that Leachman drugged her before the recording and that she hadn't actually consented to anything at all.
And yes, people also said this guy went to Cody Ko's wedding, which I think was not too long ago.
You had this man in your videos.
Who
you
cares
were telling us
who he's friends with? I mean, I think it's more so people are like, this is public knowledge and you're still friends with this person, which I think can be indicative
follow
of
him
some
on
things.
Instagram. And at some point you did wise up, so he's no longer part of your content, but he still seems like he's very much a part of your friend group. From the continued hangout since then to inviting him to your wedding just last year, people are under the impression that you're best friends with someone who, at best, committed an illegal sex act, and at worst is an alleged rapist. And no matter how many times people rediscover this information over the years, you refuse to say anything at all. You could clarify this, but you won't. But now your cowardice has reached a new low. You've tried speaking and you've tried silence, and now you're choosing censorship. On your YouTube channel, where you've been pumping out content nearly every day now, I couldn't find a single comment on your last video about this situation.
Every day? Wow.
Not even one. Comparing that to the comment section on your Instagram, where every single comment I saw was about this, it's clear that you're heavily censoring your audience on YouTube. But surely...
Sorry, the last comment he showed was trying to strike a chord. And it's probably ...
You must have realized the limits by now, since people have just transferred the conversation over to your wife's channel. The fact that her comment section is overrun due to your decision to stay silent about this should be all the proof you need that that decision was wrong. At this point, your silence and censorship are a response with disturbing implications. The only thing that I've seen this hidden portion of your audience asking for is the truth. So why aren't you telling it? And your silence isn't the only one that's bothering me either.
All these Reddit threads, like if my name's on any thread, it's all getting deleted.
I witnessed the heavy-handed moderation of your subreddit in real time as I researched this video. I would refresh the page and posts would suddenly be unapproved by moderators after racking up hundreds of comments, removed because they could, quote, instigate drama, or more commonly just locked and or removed with no reason given whatsoever. I'm sure whoever is doing this thinks they're helping you, but you should probably tell them that they're making things look 10 times worse. But it's not just your moderators, it's your friends and fellow YouTubers too. It's no coincidence that with the exception of the H3 podcast, I haven't seen a single channel over 1 million subscribers do so much as acknowledge that this situation exists. And I'm not talking about channels that never would have discussed something like this either. I mean the same channels that were rightfully calling out people like Dr. Disrespect for texting a minor, which are the same channels that are now completely ignoring a scenario with an even bigger creator being accused of doing something much worse. You can't say it's because the allegations are unconfirmed, because the channels that I'm talking about discuss rumors all the time.
Channels
and
are
this
also
video
friends with
is all
him.
the proof you need that there's still plenty to discuss, even without making definitive statements. The general public may not know about the situation,
And also
but I
because
promise you,
people really
anyone
like
who's online
Cody
enough to
Co,
run
so
a YouTube
they
channel
want to keep
does.
liking him.
The amount of people in this industry who like want to protect him and are like talking to me in a way where it's like they, you know what I mean? Like, or even just friends like, but I love him.
The community's silence on this has been so staggering that people are now saying that commentary YouTube...
I actually think Dr. Disrespect is like a decent example of this too. Also, he was just mentioned. Can you guys believe how long it was under wraps what he had done? Like I feel like I was kind of Mia when all of that came out, but that was the thing that was the most shocking to me. I was like, for years people knew about this shit and it didn't fully come out till now? That's what really goes to show how many people wanted to protect him or were afraid of him, or kind of a lot of similar things about this scenario. I'd say the dog situation isn't as comparable because there was only a few employees who knew about it. The situation, all of Cody Co's big creator friends at least heard about it. I mean, it's not a one-for-one comparison, but I feel like more than just a few employees had an idea of how the doc was behaving. I mean, there were even other girls who came out and were like, look, this is how he treated me. He was also cheating on his wife with me. And the thing is, when you behave that way, I feel like there are definitely red flags to the people around you. They just kind of choose to ignore those red flags.
Is a boys club, aka a male-dominated space that mistreats women while enabling and protecting men. And the truth is, Cody, whether you're guilty or not, you are being enabled to ignore this and protect it from having to respond as an act of misogyny towards Tana Mojo. We both know that on our side of commentary YouTube, any man can easily elevate himself by dunking on misogynists in his content and espousing a generally feminist viewpoint.
Oh yeah, I wonder if Ludwig will cover it.
Turns to silence the moment a situation...
I feel like the domino effect is D'Angelo covered it and it got 1 million views in a day and so much traction and people are on his side. So now other big creators can cover it. I think that's why Moist is probably, I think he already came out with the video, and then Lud will probably come out with a video. Maybe, I don't know for sure, but yeah.
Situation is no longer cut and dry, then that viewpoint
We could
was a
watch
brand
the moist
strategy,
one too.
not a
I only have
belief.
15
The
minutes, but maybe
misogyny
we
that we should be
can.
discussing is right here in the community. Yet the only thing I'm hearing is a bitter, hollow silence. One that you have the power to end. I said it in the beginning, I said it in the middle, and I'll end with this. One person's testimony does not give me the right to accuse you of doing anything illegal, but I can point out the facts. It's a fact that you and Tana were around each other during the years she specified, as seen in your uncomfortable collab videos, which are still online. It's a fact that Gabby Hanna has made claims that seem to corroborate Tana's allegations against you.
We could 2x Charlie's video. Well, do you guys think it's worth looking at, or should someone just TLDR?
These things may not prove Tana's allegation, but you better believe that they contextualize them in a way that you need
Can
to
someone
address.
TLDR?
And you still have every right to address this, even now. If you have a side of the story
Oh, he just
that we're
reacts to
missing,
this video?
then
Oh,
tell
okay.
it. If I have my facts wrong, say something. Nobody should ever be denied the right to tell the truth, no matter what. I'm sure we can all agree that everyone should have the right to speak their truth, but that's exactly why I couldn't just sit here and watch the whole world tell Tana that it doesn't apply to her. Regardless of the truth of the situation, I'm just so disappointed either way. That is all. Goodbye, Cody.
Why did that goodbye, Cody, hurt my feelings? And I'm not even Cody.